What would you do if the very people meant to protect your neighborhood destroyed your home instead? For Morris Landry, a lakeside cabin he built with his own hands became the center of a war that would uncover corruption, greed, and a misuse of power that went far beyond one family feud. Morris turned his old Chevy off the narrow two-lane road hugging the edge of Caddo Lake. The sun was dipping low, casting golden streaks across the water, and gravel crunched beneath his tires in a sound that usually brought him peace. This was his ritual: drive out after a long week, breathe in the lake air, and feel his pulse slow the moment his cabin came into view. Only this time, his pulse didn't slow. It stopped. He gripped the wheel tighter, his chest constricting. Where there should have been warm porch lights glinting through the trees, there was nothing. His eyes adjusted, straining in disbelief. The cabin was gone. Not damaged. Not vandalized. Not even burned. Just gone. All that remained was devastation: splintered boards scattered like bones, twisted nails sticking out like claws, glass shattered and glinting in the dirt. The dock he had spent weeks measuring, cutting, hammering, gone, its planks ripped apart and floating aimlessly at the water's edge. The porch swing where he used to sip coffee at sunrise was crushed beneath a mound of rubble. It looked as if a wrecking crew had stormed through and erased years of work in a single afternoon. Morris climbed out of the truck in a daze, his boots crunching over the debris. The Louisiana air was thick and sticky against his skin, but the sweat soaking his back wasn't from the heat, it was from shock. His legs buckled. He dropped to his knees and reached for a broken plank of cedar, one he had sanded smooth and stained by hand just last summer. He turned it over in his calloused hands, throat tightening. He whispered to the silence, "Why?" The sound of approaching footsteps snapped him back. Gravel shifted under steady boots. He turned to see his neighbor, Franklin Dade, making his way up the drive. Franklin was wiry, with a sunbrowned face and a fishing hat pulled low. He walked like a man who didn't want to be seen at the scene of a crime. "Morris!" Franklin's voice was hushed. "You didn't hear?" Morris's head jerked up. "Hear what?" His voice cracked like dry wood. "The HOA." Franklin swallowed, his eyes dropping to the ground. "Beverly Hensley had a crew out here yesterday. Said you hadn't paid your fees. They tore it down." For a moment, Morris just stared, the words floating in the humid air like mosquitoes buzzing in his ears. Then disbelief twisted into something sharper. Rage. "Fees?" His voice boomed louder than he meant. "I paid every damn fee. Every one. I've got the receipts." His hands trembled as he stood. What gave her the right to do this? Franklin shifted from foot to foot, his fishing hat shading eyes that wouldn't quite meet Morris's. "You know Beverly. She's been circling this place for months." Tried to tell her to slow down, but he trailed off, eyes flicking toward the pile of rubble. "Everybody knows she wanted this lot bad, Morris. And now, well, she got it." Morris's fists clenched so tight his knuckles went white. He felt his pulse hammering in his ears. "She stole my home." Franklin lifted his hands, trying to calm him. "I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just telling you what I saw. She brought in 3 men with heavy equipment. By the time folks realized what was happening," he glanced back at the wreckage, "it was already gone." Morris's chest burned, fury mixing with helplessness. Because this wasn't just a building. It wasn't just wood and nails. It was years of double shifts at the plant, years of patching up old trucks instead of buying new ones, years of saving every spare dollar. It was where he had taught his son to bait a hook, where his late father had rocked in a chair telling Red River stories until dusk settled. Now, all of it was rubble. That evening, Morris drove into Shreveport, headlights cutting through the darkness until he pulled into his sister Adrienne's driveway. She opened the door before he could knock, her face etched with worry. "What happened?" she asked, pulling him inside before he could answer. Morris dropped his duffel bag on the floor with a heavy thud and sank onto the couch. His voice was flat, bitter. "They destroyed it. Beverly sent a crew. My cabin's gone. Adrian froze, eyes widening. She what? He nodded, jaw tightening. Claimed I didn't pay fees. You know damn well I did. Adrian sat beside him, her hand wrapping firmly around his arm. Morris, this isn't just wrong, it's criminal. She had no authority to demolish your home. Morris rubbed his temples. So what am I supposed to do? File a complaint? Wait 6 months while lawyers shuffle papers? By then she'll have that land sold, and her name stamped on it. From the kitchen doorway, another voice spoke. His cousin Reuben, who had been visiting from Dallas, stepped into the living room. His tall frame filled the doorway, and the marshal's badge clipped to his belt caught the lamplight. You don't have to fight this alone, Reuben said, his voice steady. Morris looked up, eyes bloodshot from anger and grief. What are you saying? Reuben crossed his arms. I'm saying Beverly Hensley doesn't know who she's dealing with. If she thinks she can bully you with HOA rules, she just picked the wrong fight. His expression hardened. She just poked the wrong family. The room went silent. Adrienne's breath caught. Morris sat motionless, the weight of Reuben's words settling over him. For the first time since he had seen the wreckage of his cabin, something stirred inside him. Not despair. Not helplessness. Resolve. But Morris didn't yet realize the fight ahead wouldn't just be about his land or his cabin. Beverly Hensley's ruthless power play had already set something larger in motion. Something that would expose secrets buried deep in their community. And before it was over, Beverly would discover that some battles can't be won with bulldozers and threats. Morris's truck rumbled down the gravel road toward Franklin Dade's place. The porch light glowed warm against the dusk, and there sat Franklin, a wiry man with years written into the lines of his face. He was on the porch, slowly cleaning a shotgun like it was just another quiet Louisiana evening. But the look on Franklin's face shifted when Morris pulled up, headlights sweeping across the yard. Frank, Morris called, stepping out of the cab. His voice was tight, heavy. You've lived here longer than anyone. These letters I've been getting, have they ever threatened to take somebody's house? Franklin set the shotgun aside, expression darkening. Never seen it go that far, he said. Beverly likes to talk tough, sure. Usually it's fines. Liens if you don't pay. But this? He shook his head. This is different. Why? Morris handed him the crumpled notice. Franklin's eyes scanned the words. His lips pursed. A low whistle escaped. He shook his head again, slower this time. She's gunning for you, Morris. Don't let her. Morris let out a hard breath, jaw tight. I don't plan to. But what if she means it? Franklin leaned forward, eyes meeting his. Then you better be ready, son. Beverly doesn't bluff. But Morris still clung to the hope that the law would protect him, that the system would step in. He had no idea Beverly was already plotting something bigger, already lining up the day when bulldozers would grind down his road. The weekend Morris lost everything began like any other. He packed tools, fishing gear, and a cooler into his truck, planning to head south to Baton Rouge to visit his aunt. He locked the cabin, patted the porch rail like he always did, and drove away without a second thought. To him, that cabin was as solid as the ground beneath it. By Monday afternoon, it was splinters. Neighbors later said they saw the trucks rolling in around noon. A flatbed carried a yellow excavator, its engine growling like some beast eager for destruction. A dump truck followed, and behind it, a smaller crew cab stacked with sledgehammers, crowbars, and men in reflective vests. It looked like a professional job, Franklin would recall later. But I've never seen a crew work that fast. And standing there, clipboard in hand, was Beverly Hensley herself. Wide-brimmed sun hat shading her face, pearls glinting in the sun. Her presence made it look official, even if it wasn't. When Franklin hurried down to ask what in God's name was happening, Beverly didn't flinch. Mr. Landry has failed to comply with association bylaws, she said, her voice clipped cold. This structure is subject to removal. Franklin tried to argue. Beverly, he's paid. I saw him show the proof at the last meeting. She smiled, polite and cruel all at once. Then he should have no problem proving it again. Now, please stand back. For your safety. And just like that, the excavator roared to life. The steel claw punched through Morris's front wall like it was paper. The porch collapsed. Windows shattered with a sharp, echoing crack. The porch swing, the one Morris had built with his father, was crushed under rubble, its chains snapping with a metallic cry. Some neighbors gasped. Others just folded their arms and watched. A few even muttered that maybe Morris should have kept up with his dues. But nobody stepped forward to stop it. By evening, the cabin was gone. The dump truck hauled away most of the wreckage, leaving jagged boards, broken nails, and twisted scraps. Even the dock, which had no reason to be touched, was destroyed, posts ripped from the lake, left drifting like corpses downstream. When Morris returned the next morning, he froze. His chest tightened like a vice. His boots sank into the dirt as his eyes scanned what was left. They really did it, he whispered, voice trembling. He bent down, picking up a shard of glass. He recognized it instantly. It was part of the kitchen window, where his sister Renee used to bake pies when she visited. A broken drawer handle stuck out from a splinter of wood, his father's old dresser destroyed. The air stank of oil and wet sawdust, the ghosts of the machines that had erased his years of sweat in mere hours. Franklin appeared again, hat in hand, guilt etched deep in his face. Morris, I tried to stop her. I swear I did. She wouldn't listen. Morris turned slowly, eyes burning. You stood there and watched. Franklin faltered. What could I do? She had paperwork. Crew said they were hired. If I'd stepped in, they'd have called the sheriff. Morris's chest rose and fell with fury. Paperwork? That was my home. Other neighbors drifted over. A few offered quiet words. Others wouldn't meet his eyes. Morris could tell instantly who had sided with Beverly, the ones mumbling about rules, compliance, how everyone had to play by the same system. He didn't argue. He just walked back to his truck, every step heavier than the last. That night, back at Adrienne's house in Shreveport, Morris sat on her couch, staring blankly at the floor. It's gone, he said. His voice was flat, lifeless. Every board. Every nail. Adrienne's jaw clenched. She had no right. Reuben leaned forward, elbows on his knees, eyes sharp under his marshal's brow. You still got those letters? Morris pulled a thick folder from his duffel and dropped it on the coffee table. Every one of them. Proof I paid. Proof she ignored it. Reuben flipped through the pages, his frown deepening with each line. She overstepped. Big time. This isn't civil anymore. It's criminal. Adrienne's hand closed around her brother's arm. Her voice was firm. Morris, you built that cabin with your own hands. You don't let someone take that from you. Morris finally looked up, eyes glinting with both grief and rage. Then let's make sure she regrets it. But Morris had no idea yet. Beverly's ambition had left more than just his cabin in ruins. She had left a trail of evidence. A trail that could unravel everything she had built, and expose just how far her corruption went. And once Morris, Adrienne, and Reuben began pulling on that thread, Beverly Hensley's empire would begin to unravel. The three of them spread documents across the kitchen table, receipts, contracts, bylaws, highlighted in yellow. The pile of evidence grew higher than the coffee cups beside it. Morris rubbed his forehead. I just wanted peace on the lake. I never thought I'd be sitting here with my sister and cousin plotting against an HOA president. Adrienne's tone was calm but sharp. This isn't plotting. It's accountability. People like Beverly count on fear and silence. She thought you'd roll over. She thought you'd walk away. Reuben leaned forward, his voice steel. But you didn't. And now she's got to answer for it. Later that week, they went door to door. Franklin was first, still eaten up with guilt for watching the demolition. I'll give you a statement, he said firmly. Whatever you need. I saw her order that excavator to start. She had no judge's order. I knew it then, I know it now. Sherman added his story. She fined me for trimming trees without her approval. Said it ruined the character of the community. I still got the notice. Woman thinks she owns the lake. Each story added fuel. Each testimony painted the picture clearer. Beverly's power wasn't about maintaining order. It was about control. And profit. One evening, after hours of sorting through files, Morris finally allowed himself a half-smile. She thought she was the storm. But she's about to see what it's like when the tide turns. But Beverly wasn't rolling over. As the Landrys pieced together her corruption, she prepared moves of her own. Night after night, Morris sat at Adrienne's kitchen table, staring at spreadsheets and contracts. Rage had settled into something sharper. Focus. Adrienne tapped a column. Look here. Over the last 3 years, the HOA collected nearly double what their budget required. Landscaping, road maintenance, those make sense. But these contractor fees? She jabbed her pen on a line. 30 grand for mowing and brush clearing. That's triple the cost. Reuben leaned back. And every contract points to one company, Hensley Property Services. Guess who owns it? Morris's voice was flat. Her husband. Adrienne nodded. She's been funneling HOA money straight into her own pocket. Your cabin wasn't the first to suffer, just the first she completely erased. Morris clenched his fists. So this was never about fees. It was money. She wanted me gone so she could flip the lot. Reuben added. And she padded the demolition invoice 3 times over. That's fraud. If it crossed state lines electronically, that's federal. Morris shook his head slowly. All I wanted was peace. I didn't want a war. But she brought one to my doorstep. The calls to neighbors revealed even more. A widow, Iris Kimball, broke down in tears. She fined me $2,000 for painting my shutters the wrong shade of green. I couldn't fight it. I just paid. I didn't want trouble. Another neighbor, Kenneth Poirier, told them his dock was condemned overnight. She said it wasn't up to code. Tore half of it down before I could appeal. Then fined me for leaving debris. Adrienne recorded every story. Reuben reached out to colleagues in federal offices. Morris sat back, stunned. How long's she been running this scam? Reuben shrugged. At least a decade. Probably longer. Folks don't fight because it's expensive, or they're scared. But you've got nothing left for her to take. That makes you dangerous. The danger became real one night. Morris returned to his truck outside the hardware store. A slip of paper waited under the wiper. Block letters, quit while you can. He carried it inside and dropped it on Adrienne's table. Looks like she knows I'm not rolling over. Reuben crushed the note in his fist. That's intimidation. Classic. But it means she's nervous. Adrienne's eyes hardened. Which means we're close. Morris leaned forward, voice low. So what's next? Adrienne's answer was immediate. We confront her. Not in whispers. Not in private. Public. With evidence. Morris hesitated. And if she doesn't back down? Reuben's reply was cold steel. Then we bury her in court. The HOA meeting at the Lakeside Clubhouse buzzed with tension. Folding chairs filled the room. Everyone had heard about Morris's cabin. Some came to defend Beverly. Others came because they were tired of fearing her letters. Beverly swept in last. Pearls gleaming. Pastel suit pressed. Clipboard clutched like a weapon. Adrienne stood before she could speak. I have a concern. Beverly's smile tightened. Concerns must be submitted in writing. Adrienne's voice cut through. This isn't about lawn care. This is about fraud. Intimidation. And the unlawful demolition of my brother's home. Gasps. Murmurs. All eyes turned. Morris sat stiffly, fists tight. Adrienne held up bank records. Paid every year. On time. You ignored them. Reuben rose, his presence filling the room. And you billed triple the market rate for demolition. Signed off on your own contracts. Funneled HOA money into your husband's company. The room erupted. She can't do that. My doc fines went to her too. Beverly slammed her clipboard. Order! This is slander. Adrienne's tone sliced back. We've got 6 homeowners with notices and testimonies. You built a kingdom on fear, Mrs. Hensley. And it ends tonight. Morris finally spoke. His voice low, steady, carrying. You took my home. Not because of fees. Because you wanted the land. You thought I'd stay quiet. You were wrong. The room went still. Franklin stood. I saw her give the order myself. No court papers. Just her word. I'll swear to it. Then Iris's trembling hand rose. She fined me $2,000 for shutters. I paid. I kept the letter. One by one, voices joined. Stories spilled. Fear broke. Beverly's smile cracked. Her mask shattered. And for the first time, she wasn't in control. Days later, the district attorney called it what it was. Fraud. Plain and simple. Subpoenas flew. Records surfaced. The truth bled out. Contractors admitted Beverly lied. Paperwork was fabricated. Money funneled into shell accounts. Vacations. Luxury purchases. All paid with HOA funds. The case blew open. Headlines spread. Cameras crowded the courthouse. And when the gavel finally fell, the verdict was clear: fraud, abuse of power, unlawful demolition. Beverly was stripped of her title. Fined. Referred for criminal charges. Neighbors once too scared now shook Morris's hand. Franklin clapped his back. Iris hugged him. You gave us our voices back. But for Morris, victory was complicated. That night, he sat by the lake where his cabin once stood. The land was bare. Scarred. But in his mind, the swings still creaked. His father still laughed. His son still held that too big fishing pole. Adrienne stood beside him. You did it, Morris. You took her down. Morris's eyes stayed on the water. Cabin still gone. Reuben put a hand on his cousin's shoulder. True. But your dignity isn't. That's what she wanted most. And she failed. Morris breathed deep. Slowly. Finally free. Guess the lesson is simple. If you don't stand up, they'll run you over. But if you do, they can't erase you. Adrienne smiled softly. Exactly. You didn't just fight for yourself. You fought for everyone she tried to silence. The sun dipped below the trees. Morris whispered, almost to himself. She thought I'd walk away. But I didn't. And maybe that was the true moral of Morris Landry's story. Buildings can be torn down, but resolve cannot. If this story hit you, don't forget to subscribe. Stand tall. Speak loud. And never let anyone bulldoze your dignity.